What's going on, guys? Phil here from Custom Offsets TV on the YouTube. And this video is kind of a bit different because I'm really just ranting and raving to you guys about something that's going on in the truck industry and just kind of bringing a little bit of, I guess what you could call insider knowledge to YouTube and Facebook so you guys can kind of comment on what's happening. So I'm sure you saw by the title, OEM versus aftermarket, and OEM is attacking aftermarket, and what exactly do we mean by that? And the thing is, recently in this position, I've been able to travel to a whole bunch of different manufacturers, whether that be wheels or lift kits and so on and so forth, to kind of see how things are made and the tools they use to develop these new products. So one of the things that the aftermarket manufacturers rely on is getting the CAD drawings and engineering and whatnot from the OE manufacturers before they actually release vehicles so that they can start working on new products that they're developing. So a good example is lift kits. Typically you'll have the OE manufacturers, so I'm talking about like Ford, Chevy, Dodge, etc. They'll send those files right to places like Rough Country or BDS or FabTech or any of the wheel manufacturers that need to know what size the hubs are going to be and things like that. And they do that so that the aftermarket manufacturers can get a jump on making those products, because if they don't do that, essentially you need the aftermarket companies to go out and buy the new vehicle, bring it to their shop, tear it apart, and it just causes delays in getting those parts. And obviously the guys that are making lift kits and wheels and whatnot, they want to get those products out there faster than anybody else, because if they're first to market, that means they'll probably drive an increase in sales. And after all, the whole world is ran by money, essentially. So what's happening now, which is kind of a big deal, is that the OE manufacturers, some of them, not all of them, are not releasing data to aftermarket companies. So the issue is these guys now do have to go and buy the trucks, and it becomes a problem when there are so many different variations of each vehicle or so many makes and models that companies simply don't have the capital to buy all these vehicles. So they're putting trust and faith in their local dealerships to send them vehicles on loan, essentially. But then at the same time, you can't just cut up a brand new truck and not be able to return it to stock, because nobody's going to buy that. If you are lucky enough to work with a dealership that will let you install a lift kit that does require cutting, and then they can keep it installed so they can sell it, that'll work out just fine. But not everyone is willing to do that, and a lot of times these aftermarket builds that you see on dealership lots, they get marked up so heavily, like $10,000, $12,000, $14,000, that people aren't buying them because they'd rather buy the stock truck, and then they can come up to a website like ours and just pick up exactly what they want. They don't have to get the specific package that the dealership is offering. So that's sort of a problem, and that's what's happening. And the reason why that is likely is because of the OEM manufacturers are now probably going to start making their own lift kits. So we think that is the future of what's happening and why they're not releasing that data anymore and making it more difficult for the regular aftermarket guys to develop new products for these new vehicles. So there's a couple companies out there that have already started doing it, and it's in a small scale. Like right now you have the Chevy Trail Boss, which basically is a 2-inch lifted version of the regular Chevy Silverado 1500 from factory. So you get different struts and you get taller blocks in the rear, and I think they throw on some skid plates and you get a different paint scheme. But there's really nothing super special about it. It's the same when it comes to the GMC Sierra. You get the AT4 package. Same thing, you're getting an additional 2 inches of lift. Now, the tricky thing is with those, so they come 2 inches higher, but if you buy a 6-inch lift, you really are only lifting it an additional 4 inches. So people just kind of get confused by what's going on in those trucks, because a 6-inch lifted AT4 and a regular 6-inch lifted Silverado or Sierra are going to be the same height eventually, because you're taking out those stock components. So the other people that are doing it are like the Mopar group or Fiat group. So I know for the Jeep, they have a factory lift kit option. It's a 2-inch, comes with Fox shocks that were designed specifically for Jeep. You know, they got all the decals on them. And it's like a 2.5-inch shock, which is actually pretty impressive, and it's a pretty beefy component. But everybody right now is just doing those small kits. So either we're not going to have options for big lift kits, or the OE manufacturers are going to have to start coming out with larger lift kits too. But then you run into a whole bunch of compliance issues with different laws depending on what state you're in and how high they can lift vehicles. So I don't know that you're going to see Ford or Chevy come out with a 6-inch lifted stock F-150 or Silverado, because it would just be a ton of liability for them. So we just kind of want to make this video to let people know what's happening in the OEM versus aftermarket world, and just what's going on. And I guess if you want to drop your thoughts in the comments below, you can definitely do that. If you have any insider information, if you work there and you know that they're making a 6-inch lift, that'd be sweet for us to know. So you can drop your comments down below, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Peace. Yeah, one take. That's how we do it. I don't have a script. I don't have anything. I just wing it.